Welcome back to Without Shortcuts. Today we're making a flourless chocolate torte.
Flourless chocolate torte is a very fancy, very elegant, and very delicious dessert that almost anybody can throw together. And it's a great dessert to make for that special someone in your life for a birthday or an anniversary or the most chocolate of all holidays, Valentine's Day.
The first thing that we need to do, we need to go ahead and get our pan ready. We're just using an 8-inch cake pan. Just going to put a quick little spray of non-stick spray. Get a piece of parchment paper.
Next thing that we've got to do is we're going to preheat our oven to 375 degrees, and then we'll go ahead and get the rest of our ingredients together and set up a double boiler. To set up our double boiler, we've just got a pan on the stove with just about an inch or so of water on it, just barely at a simmer so that it's steaming. And then we're just going to take a heat-proof glass bowl and set it right over the top. That's got our softened butter in it already, and then we can just put our chocolate chips right over the top. And that's just a real gentle way to bring this up to temperature so that it melts the chocolate and the butter together and it won't scorch anything. As your butter and chocolate start to melt, go ahead and stir them together. And then once everything is completely melted, just kind of stir it until it's smooth. And then we can take it back to the counter and add the rest of our ingredients.
Our chocolate is nice and smooth. It's not super hot because we did it over that double boiler, so it's just warm and melted and smooth. Now we just need to add in our sugar, our espresso, just a little bit, just kind of enhances that chocolate flavor. And then our vanilla and our salt. And then just mix those until they come together. Those are ready. Thank you, sir. We're going to add our eggs back in, and then again we'll just mix it until those come in and come together in the mix. And then finally, just add in our cocoa powder. And again, just mix it until it just comes together. That is looking pretty darn good right there. So now that those are all combined, all we have left to do is just pour it into our prepared pan. Then we'll move it into the oven. We'll cook it for about 25 minutes until we get the temperature, the internal temperature up to about 200 degrees. I think we're pretty much ready to go.
All right, last thing that we're going to do before this goes in, just give it a couple of quick taps on the counter. This torte is so dense, you don't want any air bubbles in it. So just knocking it on the counter a couple of times will kind of help bring all those, any air bubbles out. We've taken our torte out of the oven. We temped it. It's up to 200 degrees. So we're going to let this sit here and cool in the pan for 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll turn it out onto a cake plate.
Our cake has 5 or 10 minutes worth of cooling time. We're going to go ahead and take an offset spatula, just run it around the outside of our cake. Make sure it's not sticking to the sides. And then we're just going to go ahead and flip it onto our cake plate. The bottom, these are still not too bad, but the bottom is still going to be hot. So I'm going to put this towel underneath, put our cake plate on the top. Just flip it over, and let's see what we've got here. Comes right out. Just pull our parchment off of there. We've got a cake.
All right, and it's going to be a little bit crumbly around the edges. That's okay. And then we're just going to let this thing sit here and cool completely before we finish it off. One way to really elevate your flourless chocolate torte, if this is the way you want to go, is to make a raspberry coulis for it. And really that's just a fancy way of saying raspberry sauce. So you're going to take a couple of cups of raspberries. And if it's not raspberry season, so you don't have real good fresh raspberries, frozen raspberries also work really well in this case.
Even if they are a little bit noisier.
Right. So to your raspberries, you're going to add about a half a cup of sugar, about a tablespoon or so of lemon juice, and then a couple tablespoons of water. And then you're just going to put that onto the stove over kind of a medium-low heat, stirring it occasionally until the raspberries start to break down and just kind of lose all their juice. As you can see, our raspberries have completely broken down and released all of their juice. So we're going to go ahead and take this over to the counter to finish off our raspberry sauce.
Our coulis is cooked, so now we just need to take it and we're going to run it through a strainer, just because raspberries have so many seeds in them that it's a little aggressive when you just pour that over the cake with the seeds. So we're going to strain the seeds out, make sure that we get as much of the juice and the flavor that we can.
So after you pour the raspberries into the strainer, just use a rubber spatula and kind of work it around, because that'll keep pushing some of that pulp out, so that all you're left with once you're done is just a big pile of seeds in your strainer. And then don't forget, as you're doing this, clean the seeds off of your spatula and then make sure you scrape along the bottom of your strainer and get all of that pulp that's not quite falling into your bowl. Give that just a quick stir to mix that all back together. And then that just needs to go into the fridge and cool, and then we can use that to top our torte.
So to finish off the cake portion, we're going to go ahead and make a ganache to go over the top. This is just going to take it up to that next level. You got chocolate on top of chocolate. Absolutely wonderful. Making the ganache is super easy. We just have half a cup of heavy cream that we've warmed up. You're going to pour that over the top of your chocolate chips. You let it sit for a minute. That'll soften, and then you stir it all together, and the heat from the warm cream will melt the chocolate chips, and then we'll put it on top of our flourless chocolate torte.
You want to film us standing here for the next 3 or 4 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You got somewhere to be?
Yeah, just, watching chocolate melt is akin to watching paint dry and grass grow.
After that sits for a couple of minutes, you want to make sure that the chocolate gets warmed through pretty well. Then you're just going to stir it up and bring it all together. Now we're talking.
Oh, yeah.
And then once all of your chocolate is nice and smooth and the cream is incorporated, you're just going to take this and pour it directly over the top of your flourless torte, just right in the middle, and just kind of let it spread itself out. Alright, we'll give it just a little bit of help. And there we go. We'll put this back into the refrigerator, we'll let it all cool down together, and then we'll bring it back, we'll get our raspberry sauce, we'll get a little whipped cream. We'll make this into a phenomenal finished product.
We've got our torte chilled. We've got our other toppings made. So let's go ahead and cut into this, serve some up, and see how we did here. Now this is a super decadent dessert, and you could definitely eat this as is. But we're gonna go ahead and elevate this just a little bit more. Add that raspberry sauce to the top. And then we've also made some whipped cream.
There we go.
Alrighty, well, let's give this thing a try.
The density on the cake is extreme. It is really Very dense, but it's moist and soft, and just a little bit of that crunch texture on the very outside of the cake that is wonderful. And then you get the sharpness of that raspberry coulis that mixes with that chocolate.
Yep.
I mean, this, you couldn't eat much more than a piece about this big. It is very decadent, it's very rich, but absolutely delicious.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, like when we were putting the whole thing together, adding that espresso to it really just deepens that chocolate flavor. And it's, oh man, I mean, like he said, that's about the biggest piece you could eat from that. And I mean, that's all you would want.
But you're going to enjoy every bite of that little piece.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, you know what? Give this a try. Make this for your special someone for a special occasion, or make it for yourself. But either way, give this a try. Let us know down in the comments how it goes. Hit us up on social media if you get a chance, Instagram, Twitter, and, you know, at some point here in the near future, maybe a TikTok channel. We'll see what happens. So give this a try, and while you're at it, reach down there and give this video a quick thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Keep skipping the shortcuts, and we will see you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.